Are you neurodivergent and talk therapy doesn't really work for you?
Hey, Sheila, I don't know if I really have an answer to exactly the question that you're asking, but I have been in therapy the last couple of months, like back in therapy, and also processing a lot of what I'm realizing now is trauma. And one of the things is I've been like thinking about it a lot lately, tied to having challenges getting to this point, and then how quickly the dominoes are starting to fall now that I've gotten to this point, is related to challenges with understanding abstract concepts, like being able to connect the words for abstract concepts with what they mean concretely. So, for example, being able to take my experience and like I know what my experience was and I can describe it really well, and I understand what emotional abuse is as far as the words that it means, but failing to be able to connect the two of those things. And additionally, issues with alexithymia and not necessarily being able to, and interoception, like you mentioned, not necessarily being able to feel the things in my body, having challenges with tuning into those things. But I suspect that a lot of it may have to do with that challenge of connecting, because so much of what we're doing in therapy, right? Like it has to do with abstract concepts. And that's an important, stage in development, is connecting the sounds for words with the concepts and, I don't know, there's like another part. It's just my therapist had me read this chapter about like how language creates suffering and how, we can have a traumatic experience related to something, and then all we have to do is like hear the word or think about the word or whatever, and it related to it, and it will can trigger a trauma response. And starting that cascading effect of starting to connect the dots on these abstract concepts has helped me understand what I've been feeling, like what the feeling, being able to identify the feeling in my body, understand what that feeling was, understanding what the physical process was in my body also helped with that. And like understanding physically what was happening, like what is a nervous system, what happens when your nervous system is being triggered, of like, you get some kind of a signal that in and of itself is not dangerous necessarily, but your nervous system misinterprets it because of the way that your body has been conditioned. It's been conditioned to misinterpret that thing as something, fearful, something scary. And then it sends your nervous system into this pathway that the groove has been really greased, of either the parasympathetic or the sympathetic nervous system, depending on what type of response you experience. And understanding that also was incredibly helpful in me taking steps forward, because I was able to, once I understood what was happening and that I had experienced trauma and that I was experiencing a trauma response, that enabled me to internally validate my own feelings and no longer think that I was like maybe overreacting to what was going on. So in a moment in a situation where in a relationship with someone who I cognitively know is a safe person, all of my experience with them has been that they are a safe person. They've demonstrated that they are emotionally intelligent, and something that they did was a trigger for me. I was able to, number one, identify that I was feeling this thing in my body. Then I was able to identify what was causing the thing. I was able to identify what the need was that my body needed, that it was signaling that it needed, like what would help keep it safe. I was able to believe in my head, I didn't feel it in my body, but believe like this is a safe person. And me having a trauma response about the idea of telling the person and asking to get my need met, that is a misperception of my nervous system, and I can trust my instinct that my head knowledge that this is a safe person. And so in that instance, even though I was literally sobbing as I typed it out, and I was like so activated, I was able to like, for one of the first times ever, like really believe that head knowledge and able to like act upon it. And true to form, they responded incredibly supportive. And also, Just that act in and of itself of me validating myself also countered the message that I had received from all this trauma that I'm inadequate, that it's my fault that I'm inadequate, and that I deserve to be punished because it's my fault that I'm inadequate. And me just saying, no, I'm worthy, I'm safe, I deserve to have relationships where people will meet my needs. Me just acting on that and asking to have my need met was a huge step in me validating myself. And so that's one of the things that I've been working on too, is like, when I am experiencing triggers, like going through that process and like asking to have a need met to help me maybe like not be triggered by something like that again in the future. And I'm going to continue to work on managing things, healing my own nervous system as well. But yeah, this is a lot more than what you asked about, but enjoy.